In Griffin versus Kleyman Co Solicitors Ltd, costs Judge Leonard addressed the issue of whether the solicitor's costs for acting in ancillary relief proceedings should be limited by reference to estimates provided to the client during the retainer. The claimant argued that the defendant's failure to provide adequate estimates deprived her of the ability to make informed decisions, and that the costs should therefore be limited to the estimates provided. The defendant countered that the estimates were caveated and the claimant's conduct led to increased costs. Costs Judge Leonard found that while the solicitors failed to update the estimate when it became apparent it would be exceeded, the claimant habitually caused unnecessary costs to be incurred, making it inevitable. Such conduct made it impossible to identify a reasonable figure to limit the defendant's recoverable costs. Accordingly, a detailed line-by-line assessment was necessary to determine the reasonable amount payable. Quote, "The claimant, for all her genuine anxiety about costs, was either unable or unwilling, despite repeated warnings from Ms. Kleyman, to work effectively with the defendant to keep costs down to a more reasonable level. The way in which she insisted on conducting herself effectively guaranteed that any realistic estimate would be exceeded. If I were to restrict the defendant's recoverable costs to the amount of that estimate, whether to the end of trial or to the end of the retainer, then the defendant would go unpaid for all the extra work that was undertaken, precisely because the claimant would not take what seems to me to have been sensible advice and refused to conduct herself in a reasonable, realistic and cost-effective fashion. That cannot be right." For a detailed summary of this decision, visit tmclegal.co.uk.